Intelligent conversations only. ICO. Yes, that's right. The BeerBiceps podcast is now here. We're not calling it the BeerBiceps podcast. We're calling it Monkey Chat. Why? Because Monk Entertainment is co-founded by myself and Viraj Sheth, who's also the co-host on this podcast. It's going to be all about topics which are a little controversial, maybe the occult, maybe Kala Jadoo, maybe the government, maybe personal finances in detail. Not just startups, not just motivation, but obviously because that's a part of my existence, a bit of that is going to be there. The first episode is all about how we built Monk Entertainment from the ground level up to where it is now, our future visions for Monk Entertainment, our own business insights, what we've learned from this world, and our failures in college, obviously. It's going to be very deep, very intellectual conversations. I feel that when it came to video content, I've already put out everything that I could, but now it's my turn to put out detailed information. In my real life, I'm a very deep person. I really enjoy deep conversations, and those same deep conversations are going to be put out for you guys now. Remember that each podcast is divided into chapters, so if you want to skip to a chapter that you enjoy, go ahead. The chapter list is given down below in the description box. Check it out and make sure you support Monkey Chat. If you like this concept, give it a thumbs up. Give me more topic suggestions. But for now, enjoy episode 1. See you. Hey, what's good, you guys? Welcome not to the Ranveer Show. This is a new property we're starting on BeerBiceps. It's called Monkey Chat, co-hosted by Ranveer Allahbadia and Viraj Sheth, my co-founder on Monk Entertainment. Monkey Chat, our podcast, is not just going to be about business. It's not going to be Ranveer Show style where I just ask people questions about themselves.
Like, what is your purpose in life?
Yeah, not things like that. We can talk about anything. So we'll even be talking about ghost stories, conspiracy theories, business lessons, life lessons, quantum physics. Basically anything that's value adding to you. An informative podcast. Episode 1. This is episode 1 where I'll actually be talking to Viraj about what Monkey does, what we've learned in the world of business. And I'll kind of be introducing Viraj to you guys. I just want to give you all some background on Mr. Viraj Sheth. He's my junior from engineering college. He's also my co-founder. We just happened to do a little bit of jugaad work together. And eventually today we're running an organization that's about 25, 30 people strong.
Right.
He's also genuinely one of the most powerful people in the Indian YouTube community. You name any big YouTuber and chances are that Viraj Sheth has put money on that YouTuber's table. So he manages some of the top YouTube talent in India today. His last 2 years have been full of hustle. He's a brother and we usually fool around a lot. But on today's episode, we're going to try inspiring you guys. We're going to try making it a little genuine.
So make it a little more sincere than we normally do.
Yeah. Viraj Sheth, I'm going to allow you to start with the story of how Monk Entertainment happened. Because let me just tell you that 2 years back, we didn't have any office. We were working out of my dining room.
Yeah.
So from there, we've kind of moved into an office with like 25 people. And this has happened through like genuine hard work.
Right. So quickly to give you guys a recap of the story, we started off. Ranveer was my senior in college, and he was not the most fun senior to me.
The first time I met Viraj, I actually bullied him. So I was like super buff in college and he happened to drop a little sambar in the canteen and a little bit of it fell on my friend's shoe. So I just looked at him all buff and I was like, hey! Okay, and he goes, "Ye kaun hai sala harami senior?"
So yeah, that's how it started. That was our first interaction. I was just trying to be that guy who, goes to seniors and gets the whole vibe of the college. It was a first freshers and I participated. He was the host. That's how it started. And then we started working together a lot more. We started doing internships together back then. And then that's how we gelled and we started working a lot.
We also lost touch like after college with YouTube and all that. I kind of just got into my own zone with work. Chapter 1. The Monkey Story. Eventually, I went back to DJ Sangvi one day, engineering college, and I met Viraj there. And at that phase of my life, I was really trying to increase the amount of money I was earning through YouTube. So I basically found the first Guju I found and said, bro, please help me make some money off this.
So that's how it, again, we rekindled the whole story. How it worked is I was a president in the e-cell of my college and I basically was doing it to get a certificate at the end of the day, and I didn't want to do it the whole traditional way, so I just called him up and said, we actually don't have anyone to call for a talk now, but you're doing something cool in your life and you're the most accessible person I have right now, So can you come down and give a talk to these young kids about what is the whole situation with YouTube? Is it genuine? Does it like, can you pursue it as a career? Any of that?
Yeah, so technically back then, going by the amount of money we used to get on YouTube back in the day, it wasn't really a genuine career. I'm gonna put it out there. I had probably like, I think 20,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees in my bank account when I
Yeah.
met you back then.
Yeah.
And I think
I remember, I think the first brand deal we did of sorts was with this energy drink company. We did some 2-3 Instagram posts
For
did
7,000
some
rupees a
2-3
post.
stories. Yeah, for barely like 7,000 rupees, which I mean at that point felt like a fairly decent amount to me because we were just starting out. We just started thinking, oh, you get paid to take a picture and post it on social media. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's when I had my meeting with Ranveer, and you know, he had super hyped it up and oversold it to me that, bro, this is the next big thing in the 5 years. You will make a lot of money, just jump into it. This is right when I already had one job offer in hand and I'd applied to insane universities in the US. That's when this guy enters my life and says that, you know, totally switch everything that you were going to do and jump into this, you know, unknown territory of media.
So I remember initially there were a few meetings where I'd send Viraj and he really didn't know what to talk about, what to pitch, how to pitch, how to say that, listen, we have a YouTube channel, you can actually put your brand on YouTube channel. And he made a fool of himself many times. But both of us actually learned through that difficult phase.
Yeah, so to give you context, how it worked again then is I didn't know that there was a way to reach to the brands, right? I used to directly reach out to the CEOs of each company.
हेलो देवी मैं चमन झिंगा बोल रहा हूँ रख रख तेरी माँ की रख
And say that, boss, we run a YouTube channel. This is the coolest form of marketing now. We have XYZ number of followers. We will get XYZ number of views. So why don't you come to our channel and it'll be a great fit. So I had written thousands of cold emails, and this is 2 years back when the whole situation of YouTube marketing was not very
Organized.
new, organized in India. So no one knew how do you work with YouTubers, how do you integrate your content pieces, all of that. So I've been in so many meetings where, first of all, I'm clueless how to start off with, how to take things forward, what would be the right dressing to go with. All of that I've learned over a span of time.
Yeah. Also, you know, they say that if you really want to make a big business, you try understanding the waves that are going around in the market, the kind of waves of money that are rising. So that's pretty much what we did. There was a wave of money that was falling into this YouTubing game, and we just caught our surfboards and started surfing. So we kind of were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think just success in general has a lot to do with being not just courageous enough to take the right step, but also luck plays in a factor where it gets you to the right place at the right time, and you need to grab that opportunity to make sure that you're riding that wave. That's really what we did in general.
Yeah.
We just took a gut call and said that let's go ahead, let's go full-fledged into this. I was actually doing a job back then when Ranveer said that, you know, I think we can take this full-time, and I quit in 3 months. That's how we started the whole situation and started working full-time on this.
Yeah, so I mean, that's called the power of focus. He put all his focus into bringing more money into BeerBiceps. Eventually, it happened. Like from that 7,000 rupees per post, I think the next deal we went up to was like 25,000 rupees. And gradually, we kept going up. Eventually, all our friends on YouTube, like Bionic, Niharika NM, Gaurav Bhai from Flying Beast, they all noticed and they were like, listen, let's work together. So we started managing even more people in an informal way. And once there were enough people, we figured, okay, wait, now we need to make this some kind of a company.
Yeah, that we need to formalize it or else it wouldn't make sense. When I was in my last job, I used to make calls just doing in my day job. Like I used to go to the washroom and make some calls and all of that. And we realized this stuff isn't going to be long lasting, right? You can't be doing 2 jobs at once. So we discussed that, you know, let's quit this, let's start a company. And let's formalize things. Let's get legal papers done and all of that. That's how we started.
Yeah, also I remember I had a lakh of rupees in my bank account at this stage, and I invested all of it in redoing my own garage. Like we painted our garage like very cheaply with like the cheapest paint and the cheapest painters we could find, put in the cheapest possible furniture, and said, okay, abhi company khadi karoge. So
it was a classic, you know how they say whatever Apple and all of these started in garages. That's true, and we get the perspective that, you know, they wanted to cut costs. They just wanted to have sufficient amount of balance in their account to get the legal work done, to get a first few employees, to get some basic logistical stuff like your laptops, all of that.
Yeah. But in saying that, I think that infrastructure, that space gave us a very kind of good platform for the company to get launched. So eventually we got like the right people joining Monkey. We got Neil Katarnavre, Jhalak Rawal initially. Rajas was obviously there. And I think a bunch of just really good people started working really hard together because of the leader. So Viraj is the leader of both the organizations, BeerBiceps and Monk Entertainment. And he is the hardest working guy anyone of us has ever met in our lives. Because, I mean, even if you follow Bunic's story, recently Nick put up the story of Viraj, kind of, he's gone to sleep with his phone in his hand. He was texting and he was that tired that he just like fell asleep. And this is like a daily thing. He'll, start his work the moment he wakes up at like 8:30, 9 a.m. He's answering calls. He'll reach office at 11. He'll continue working, probably leave office at like 1 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. in the morning and all that. He doesn't give himself enough credit for that.
No, I mean, but that's completely not healthy. What I still feel is you should come in at your right time, leave early if your work is done. Don't just be there in the office. But there will be certain phases in your life when you will have to stay back longer, do longer things, because when you're starting off, right, people expect you to have a USP of speed. Like, what is your credibility? I can go to 1,000 other people, but I'm going to pick you because you're giving me speed. You are taking the burden off of me. So that's why you need to have that bit of leverage in general. That's why we do what we do.
Chapter 2, the skills. So I also feel that what worked for Viraj above anything is definitely hard work and speed, but the other thing that really worked for him was jugaad. Okay, and this is a very underrated aspect of this whole game. He cold emailed people, that's what you call it. No?
Yeah, cold emailed.
And just, made his way like in this world. Like he just spoke to whoever he met, networked heavily, took information from his own network and just learned the game as he was playing it. So he taught himself how to become the best batsman.
That's how you do it. And I mean, most of these youngsters these days are sort of figuring it out that way, right? Every new inspiring, say, photographer, videographer, editor I meet most of these guys are all self-taught. And that's been the whole story of millennials or people our age, that you want to be self-taught, you don't want to be stuck to your own organizations and figure out this stuff yourself. So that's how I went ahead. I realized, what is the best way to reach to these agencies, what is the best way to reach to brands, how can we work with talents.
At the same time, grooming a talent is something Viraj focuses on a lot. So, see, from the perspective of YouTubers, all of us are basically children, okay? We're kids inside, and we do need a lot of guidance when it comes to the world of business, the world of YouTube business, the world of brand building. So, Viraj is someone who's a big brother to actually all of us. He's like 2 years younger than myself, but I still consider him like my elder brother.
Yeah, so again, what we did is we realized that, let's keep the creative child in these guys active. All the logistical, admin, finance work, let's move it on to someone else. Let's keep that burden off to someone else. That's how we figured that, the whole management and manager aspect came into the picture then.
At the same time, I mean, see, he learned about this particular business, but he also learned about business in general. Like how to actually grow an organization, how to hire the correct people, how to get rid of the wrong people, all these little things you learn as you're doing business, and you learn it through podcasts, you learn it through books. So when I say that you guys should listen to podcasts, you guys should listen to books, I'm looking at Viraj's life, seeing what he's done correct and just putting it out there. Completely self-taught. I want to ask Viraj my first question of this interview because we've just discussed it. That what's been like the hardest aspect of all this? Chapter 3, the struggles.
I think the most difficult aspect I keep talking about is the hiring part, right? It's extremely difficult to get the right mix of people because I see a lot of people talking about the fact that there is unemployment or there's not enough opportunities in the country in general. I think personally the fact is that a lot of people don't want to grab onto the opportunities. Everyone has a very employee sort of perspective going forward, right? Is that I'm coming in at 9, I want to leave at 6. Initially, I feel you definitely should not have that attitude because you want to give it your best shot at what you're doing. You just want to learn, you want to keep adding more value because that's when you will get into the eyes of the higher hierarchy. That's as simple as it is. Or you build your own thing, you innovate, you build a business around it. So there's two ways to it. But both of these ways, either being an entrepreneur or when you're being an entry level job entrant, is that you need to add value. You need to show that you are in it, you're all in it. Basically, is what you need to show.
Chapter 4, the rewards. So, and what's been like the high of all this? Like, what's been the best aspect of this whole journey?
I think the biggest high is to get to meet a lot of super accomplished people who have the expertise, the wisdom, the knowledge to do what they've been doing, right? And normally people get to access this at a much elder age. I've been lucky enough to pick minds of some geniuses like Radhakrishnan Pillai, people who are running huge organizations, is something I feel is the biggest high I get, because I can speak to them on a one-to-one basis and say that, so these are the problems I'm facing. What is it that you think I should do? What is the direction I should be moving in?
And as your mentality stands now, how is it different from when you had just started out? The one biggest difference. I know there's like a ton of differences.
Right.
But what's like the one like stark difference?
I think the biggest difference I see in myself is I was very underconfident. Fairly so, because I hadn't achieved anything. I didn't know if I was going in the right space and all of that. But in general, that should not be a factor. You should just go in, heads up, just fake it till you make it, right? That's how it works. Be confident every time you're entering a room. Make sure that you know your shit, right? And that's all that you need.
Yeah, that's what people will only value you. One, if you value yourself.
Exactly.
And two, if you actually have enough value in here, if you've learned enough, if you have enough information that you can add into their life, then they'll value you.
Right.
So I think step up to that pedestal of being a person of value.
Exactly.
And that's how your real connections get made. And one more crucial thing that we learned, and this is something we learned at Delhi airport. Okay, so we were having a dosa, and this uncle came and started talking to us. He's like, we've all suited up. We were wearing suits, and he's like, who are you kids? And you're kids, wearing suits. You're coming from some business conference. You're like, yeah. So he tells us that, okay, guys, I'll tell you all the biggest business lesson of my life. Business in India is made through emotional connections. So I think that's something Viraj has also figured out in our industry especially. You want to make more money in life, you first become people's friends in the world of Indian business. You make your business connections and money will follow. At the same time, be a person of value so that even those connections want to be your friend. So would that be a big learning for you?
No, 100%. So that's what our core value at the company has also been, right? Even when we're working with talents, we're working with brands, we make sure that we understand what is it they want. Before, getting all the paperwork done, getting them signed, all of that, that's secondary. We need to understand, are we connecting with the individual in the first place? Are we equipped enough to add value to their lives? Yeah. What is the biggest challenge or problem they're facing? Again, like Gary Vee says, and I don't mean to make it sound very cliche, empathy is super important when it comes to business, right? You need to make sure you're not in it to be a shark only. Just, go there to add value, to collaborate. And that's how you will grow with them.
Chapter 5. But what's Monkey up to now, bro? Now, the next question I want to ask you is, as the co-founder of Monk Entertainment, I just want to explain to you guys how we've divided our responsibilities as co-founders. So Viraj would obviously be kind of the overall CEO of Monk Entertainment. He's the head of operations. He gets the final say on all the key decisions, obviously. He began the company. He ran it alone, when there was no other person running the company. So he's the king of this organization. I'm primarily in charge of culture. I mentor the people who join into Monk Entertainment. Overall, I set strategies for where the organization is headed. But if someone asks me, okay, what are the activities that Monk Entertainment does?
Right.
I'll always tell them, wait, speak to Viraj because he's more in the loop about these things. So Viraj, what does Monk Entertainment do? And how have we been able to create an office of like 25, 30 kids?
So how it started is, again, we realized that we were already working with talents now. We were adding value, both monetary, brand-wise, all of that. Then we realized that, wait, there's a gap. It's not just the talents who don't understand how to work with brands, but it also is the brands who don't understand how to work with YouTubers, right? They don't know what are the right creators to work with. They don't know how to spend it. They don't know what are the market rates of these guys. They don't know what platforms to leverage. A lot of brands are not digitally equipped as yet. They don't know what is a swipe up story. They don't know how to use a hashtag in a tweet.
Yeah, I think
for example,
like people our age know these things better because we're the generation that's grown up with all this around us.
Exactly.
So it's a part of our daily life.
I mean, social media was part of our daily lives. Yeah. I mean, You grew up, you bought a smartphone, you grew up in the smartphone age. Top three apps that you've downloaded are essentially Facebook, Instagram, and probably Twitter, or I don't know, Snapchat. So we know, we use these on a daily. So naturally we know how this works. A lot of the elder people, people who are running organizations, who are CMOs, CXOs in these companies, they're not so well versed with it because they don't use it on a daily, right? So to cut it short, what we do is we work with brands to help them understand how to work with talents. We work with talents to make them understand how we can work with brands. And in all of this, we also basically do everything else that comes on digital, like social media management, video production, everything content related is what Monk Entertainment looks at, so that all of it can come under one umbrella. So tomorrow if a brand comes to me and says that I have X amount to spend on content, I can tell them, okay, these are the talents you should work with, these are the platforms you should work on, this is the branded content you should make beyond using influencers, and this is how you should maintain your social media pages.
Yeah. And we can do all of that for you. This is like your one-stop shop.
Exactly.
Chapter 6.
How you learned all this? So also a lot of y'all might be looking at this video and saying, "Arey, how did y'all figure all these things?" It was one step at a time. It began just with influencer marketing. In fact, it began just with managing me. Then it went to influencer marketing. Then we started helping brands with other, influencer campaigns, digital campaigns. Then we figured, okay, wait, brands need social media. So we began a social media unit in the organization. So it was just one step at a time. Don't ever let these business stories and all overwhelm you. Like, I used to get overwhelmed when I used to read all these business stories. Ki, "Arey yaar, itna kaise khada kar diya?"
Exactly. And a lot of the stuff you read on the internet and newspapers and all of that is, when you read them, make sure you read through the lines, because a lot of the times these figures are bloated. That X company got 100 billion valuation or $1 billion valuation. All of that is all right. You need to see that what is the company's core problem solving agenda, like what is the problem they're solving. Ola at the end of the day takes you from point A to point B. So they are making sure that they solve your problem of traveling. Airbnb is making travel fun, like they are giving you an experience, for example. What is it that we do? We make sure that agencies or brands' lives are made easier by being the one-stop solution in terms of digital solutions. That's what the model is. Now, how do you scale up from that is you build a team around it, you network, you work with more brands, they will recommend you to other brands. Your work speaks at the end of the day. That's really all.
Chapter 7. The future.
Okay, now, Viraj, where do you see Monk Entertainment going? Not 5 years from now, but I'm going to say 25 years from now. Where do you see it?
I think what we want to do eventually is, like all companies, we want to build a legacy, right? It should work without me, him, anyone else being in the company or not. The company should stay at the end of the day, and that will only happen if the purpose and the agenda of the company is in the right direction, right? If you're all in it just for money, it will be a shallow purpose. If you are in it to figure out that you're solving a problem, you're adding something to an opposite party, that's when the company will sustain, and that's when the company will have a sort of a correct approach to what they're doing. So overall, I feel, as next steps, it would be to work with more clients, to work with more talents, and to, in general, expand the team so that we can open much more verticals in general.
Yeah.
So that would be the...
Yeah, that's the CEO talking. I don't know what I am, the CSO, Chief Strategy Officer, Chief Mentoring Officer. The way I look at it on a very personal level is that I feel that, okay, now today there's 25 young kids working in this organization. A lot of them are supporting their own families. On a personal level, that's where I get my motivation from, that wait, our hard work is creating income for so many families. And going forward, we always have this dream of going up to 2,000 hires, 20,000 hires at some point. And each of our core people in office today will become leaders going forward. So creating more leaders, creating way more employment, and overall adding a lot of money to the Indian business space. That's how I'm personally looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm extremely patriotic to this fact that I want to add much more revenue to the whole Indian ecosystem. Even though I had, I was all set to apply for my masters and all of that. But I had sort of had this reckoning recently where I know that, creating employment or creating opportunities, being here in the country itself, you're doing a great sort of service to the nation. I know not all of us can go to the front-facing borderline and face some bullets and all of that, but we can all do our bits in our way to help our country.
Chapter 8, Challenges. So we know your 25-year goal, but as of now, what's your most difficult challenge on a personal level in terms of business?
So I think the biggest personal challenge I have in the business is that just ensuring consistency, right? After you're doing a similar job for say 6-month period to a year, right? It at the end of the day still becomes monotonous no matter how much you love it. So you need to understand how is it that you can do things differently? What is it that you can tweak around to make sure that this is something new, this is something fresh that you're bringing onto the table. I think that always remains to be the biggest challenge. How do you keep yourself entertained while getting the work done?
What's scaring you about working right now? Like about this startup? What's the one thing that you fear?
So I'm not fearing anything at the moment specifically, but I feel at the end of the day, that kick when you start off, when you are at zero, right? That should always sustain in your mind, because if you start getting complacent when things are going in your favor, right? Eventually that's the end of it. I just need to be blessed with a feeling I had when I just started out. You know, I want to be on my toes, ticking all the time. I don't want any complacency in my behavior or in my approach. That is what will keep me going in the longer run.
And I'm knowing him, I'm pretty sure that he will be able to maintain that. Like if 2 years and like a massive office like this and this fancy space and these fancy people around us couldn't spoil him, I'm pretty sure he's not going to get spoiled going forward as well. Chapter 9, Our Love Story. Let's go back to engineering college where we first met. What was your first impression of working with me? And what value do you think I have added to your life as a co-founder? I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking you to explain the value of a co-founder to the general public.
Again, picking a co-founder is super important. They should either involve 3 things. One is either they're good with tech, 2, they have a great network, or 3, they're putting in some cash on table, right? So technically speaking, the second 2 things that the last 2 things that we mentioned was
tick boxes here.
Was tick boxing for you. You brought in the initial capital and you had a network that we could leverage on, right? So that's how it started. Values wise, I think one thing I learned big time from Ranveer is that even though he comes off from a fairly well-off family, he made sure he wanted to make his own name in this space. He's been there at Jew Beach, at Carter Road, all of that, just distributing pamphlets to people to subscribe to his channel. I don't know how many people know this, but he's been traveling in trains day in, day out. I know this is a very common thing to do in Bombay, but this is at a phase where he was facing near depression, right? But he still kept going. That's what I like about him. He doesn't complain too much. He's all about like going for it. What is the next problem we are solving? How are we solving it? It's not about what is the problem and why is the problem. It's about what can we do about it. I think that's the biggest thing I learned from him.
And also, like I feel the co-founders always kind of have an effect on the whole organization. Like the whole organization's culture becomes that. So if that's what he's learned from me, I've learned like pure discipline from him. Like just he's disciplined about like all aspects of his life. And yes, maybe I work hard and you know I execute, but there was a lot of discipline that was lacking from my life, which I get from him and which the whole organization also gets from Viraj Sheth. Like when we see this guy working in the office, always answering calls, always being in that, you know, high-speed work mode, it kind of sets a tone on the rest of the organization as well, including even my editing team. They're very inspired by Mr. Sheth. So yeah, man, like I think we've just happened to find a great like partnership. Like we're very, what's the word, symbiotic. Like
synergizing.
Yeah, whatever. We have great synergy.
Compatible.
Yeah, compatible. So, you know, with selecting a co-founder, it is kind of like a marriage. And one other crucial thing about marrying someone in business is that your goals in the long term need to be aligned. Like if one guy just wants to earn like a little money and the other guy wants to build a Reliance Industries, that's not going to work out. Both need to want to build Reliance
I think your
Industries.
end goal should be, again, should be the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what is the path that's being taken, because there will be multiple disagreements and all of that that come into the picture.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with disagreements are going to be there in any relationship you have in work. at work you need to understand that if you're having disagreements, it's because both of you think that this is the best way forward for both of us together. As in, we both have the best interests in our mind,
Exactly.
but we just think in different paths, and then we try understanding each other and then come to a conclusion. And sometimes it may not be one of the two roads also, it will be a third road which is like a mid path.
And I mean, you need to have that sort of a relationship with your founder, because if it's a very yes man relationship, it's not adding value to either one of you. You just need to make sure that both of you are thinking individually, so that the best output comes onto the table, and then we go forward.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, that was a little bit of an inlet into Monk Entertainment. What I'm really requesting y'all is that y'all kind of support us on our next venture, which is the Monk Entertainment social media handle. So we're basically trying to create an education platform for you guys where we teach y'all business from our perspectives. So the members of Monk Entertainment themselves will be creating videos. They'll be talking about a lot of the questions that you guys have in your heads. So firstly, go and follow that page. I've linked it down below. It's an Instagram page. Secondly, obviously, go and follow Mr. Sheth's handles. I've linked all of them down below. And Viraj, one last message for anyone who's watching the video till this point, because obviously if they're watching it till this point, they're intrigued by this concept of success.
Right. So I think closing points, just make sure that you get things started and you keep at it. That's the most important. Be consistent. I have, in the last 2 years, not even looked back and seen यार कि क्या चल रहा है. Just keep building. Just have an overarching longer vision of what you're doing, but just keep one day at a time, and I'm just getting started. For anyone who is even slightly looking up to me, trust me, I'm just getting started. I'm learning every day, and all the work that we're doing together, right, it's not even 1% of where we want to go. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about execution. It's about doing the groundwork. Get to the ground and keep executing, keep doing stuff. Because I know a lot of people who just like to think and not do. After a point, analysis becomes paralysis of sorts, right?
100%. Also, again, don't be negative about things. We've seen really dark days, and it's something we've not even spoken about in this interview. But we've seen days where we genuinely felt like this company is not going to work out. Things aren't going to work out for us. We used to doubt it. We used to have discussions where, are we doing the correct thing? But things eventually work out when you put your honest hard work into processes. So that's his message. This is my message as well. And until next time, guys, from Viraj Sheth and Ranveer.
See you.
See you guys.